Ron, the exhibition at MoMA has been amazingly successful, and you had more than 800,000 people come through. How do you explain that?
Tim is a rock star. That's one as you'll see here very shortly in Melbourne. He appeals to a mass audience. I mean, there are a number of audiences that come to Tim's work. There's the family audience that comes and they own Tim. There's, you know, this aspect of Tim's work that clicks with them. And then there's a cult audience, you know, we're going to call it a punk audience, a goth audience, a cult audience that sees something else in Tim, and there's the Tim that belongs to them. And so you get both those audiences. You get a young audience and an older audience, and which is partly because Tim's work is all about childhood and adulthood, those relationship between childhood and adulthood, how adults, the child in adults and the adult that's in children. It's not just a relationship between children and their parents. It's that. I think that's really what it is. And Tim, although Tim takes you to dark places, ultimately he's optimistic, so people come out feeling joyous. I mean, there are creepy things in Tim's work, but there's an optimistic optimism to it that comes, I believe, from his resort to creativity. I mean, there's such a creative energy in his work that inspires people. So I think that's what it is. I think people think of Tim as being theirs, having a personal relationship with his work.
I remember I read a quote from Helena Bonham Carter, and she said that Tim is the most understood, misunderstood person in the world, and it seems to be very apt. What were some of the reactions from visitors that you had to the exhibition?
One of my guilty pleasures during the duration of the show at MoMA is to go down during public hours and kind of eavesdrop on visitors. And just the comments that I heard were so amazing. People said, you know, I could spend hours looking at, you know, each drawing, or, you know, they would tell their friends to come here and look at this specific one. And people were so engaged with each work. As you've said, you know, there are almost 700 works in the show, and the audience was engaged with almost each and every single one, because Tim's themes are so universal, and they are very specifically Burton-esque, you know, the motifs that recur and certain styles that you see, you instantly recognize as Tim Burton. Yeah. However, you know, what he touches upon, everybody has felt alienated at some point. You know, even the popular jock in high school feels kind of misunderstood as well. So he touches upon all of these themes that are kind of inherent in everyone. So, but each person has a specific attachment to different works. And I've asked a lot of people, you know, what is your favorite Tim Burton film? And almost everyone comes up with a different film. You know, one person might be attached to Edward Scissorhands, and another person would be attached to Ed Wood. And yet, you know, within all of these feature films, you know, you have these unifying themes that everyone can respond to.
Yeah, my favorite encounter in the galleries that I had was a dad and his two sons debating the Mars attacks. The dad liked the film, and the kids didn't like the film. The kids loved the puppets and the other parts of that are in the exhibition, but they didn't like the film, and the dad was trying to convince them of its merits. And of course, that's somewhat a more adult film. I mean, that's I've been heard from some of Tim's people that work with Tim, and it's most like Tim. Mars Attacks is most like Tim's sense of humor. I like it because it's the kind of pop surrealist Tim. That side of it's the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the bright, colorful Tim. But it's the most politically edgy of the films. I mean, he's commenting on media and the military and all that kind of thing. So you can see why the kids wouldn't quite get it the same way. But the Martians they loved. So there was this whole thing with the dad trying to get the kids to appreciate certain values in the film, and that was. I like that very much, because that was the demonstration of what Tim's work is about, really.
Well, some of his films you can come back to, can't you? When you're older, you encounter them when you're young, and then, like Mars Attacks in particular, is a great example of how you can re-appreciate it when you're older and a bit wiser as well.
Yeah, Tim often says that what parents find frightening, children don't find frightening at all. And actually, during one of the times I was in the gallery, there's a little child saying to his father, "Oh, you know, I want Jack Skellington, Dad. It's not scary at all." And you know, the parent just said, "No, no, it's too scary for you." And yet, you know, the child is right there saying, "Not at all." And it's just right there. That solidified, you know, that moment for me.
Yeah.